This morning, we want to talk about starting and maintaining a business, which requires a lot of knowledge about the financial options that are available at every stage, and is available usually to begin with understanding how best to source for capital, since that's necessary, of course, to even start the business in the first place. Now, joining us to talk about this is financial expert Sharif Badamasi, who was here last week. Of course, he's not a stranger to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir.
You're welcome.
So, it looked like we jumped the gun last week because
Yeah.
we just went straight into how to manage the money and for business growth and all of that. But here we are talking about even starting the business in the first place, before you start the business.
Yeah.
So let's talk about capital, startup capital.
Yep.
How do we begin?
Well, before anybody starts looking for money, because normally what you hear a lot of people say is that I want to start a business and I'm looking for money, I'm looking for capital. That's the biggest problem that I have. No, it's not the biggest problem.
Are you sure though? Because I mean, in Nigeria, people say
yeah, I know.
Nobody wants to listen to you, nobody wants to hear your idea, even the banks don't want to help.
Well, that's the thing, because the idea itself is what's going to attract people. Even when you're going to source finance, there are three different ways of sourcing finance. We'll get to that in a minute. But normally, having a plan to start with is very, very important. And having a solid plan that builds into it contingencies, which is risk factors, that builds into it a clear picture of what your outcomes are going to be from your business, and things like that are what attracts people to put their money in. There are quite a number of investors around that are looking for opportunities to be able to put their money in and get it back.
So when you say having a plan, are you talking about having a business plan?
Yes, having a business plan. With that also comes probably 3 to 5 year projection, I would say. And when I talk about projection, I'm saying, for instance, if I'm going to get a startup capital of 100,000, how am I going to invest that 100,000 in this business with this plan that enables me to be able to make money, reinvest again, make money over a 3 to 5 year period. So that's showing a clear picture of how you're going to take your business to the next level from start.
Okay. So now, so you're saying, what you're saying essentially is, no matter how small the business is, have a plan.
Yes.
And have projections.
Yes.
So even if it's 50,000, if it's 100,000,
exactly,
there has to be a plan.
There has to be, yeah. Because even for you, your plan helps you to be able to go back to the drawing board and say, oh, I've missed that, or I was supposed to do this, or this was my original intention. And how do you modify something that doesn't exist? So a lot of people are shooting in the dark, trying to run the business, see what works, and they do a lot of trial and error, and that's where they waste a lot of their capital.
All right, so let's go. So I have my plan. My plan is ready, whether it's 5 pages or 25 pages, or whatever it is. So it's ready now.
Yeah.
What's the next thing?
Okay, now you need to source your capital. Now, there are 3 different ways in which you can source capital. The best always is self-generated capital, which means that, let's say, for instance, you're working in a full-time job, you're disciplined enough to save money, and you have a pot of money, or you happen to be lucky to come into some inheritance, or something happened, you struck it lucky, maybe with a lottery or something, and you end up with a big pot of money, and you decide, instead of just spending this money, I want to be able to do something tangible with it. I want to be able to invest and start a business. That's good capital. Another form of capital you can have is debt, which means you just go out there and borrow the money outrightly, and you owe people money. But debt attracts interest rates, and depending, it's always a burden for any business starting up. A third is equity. Equity is when you go up to someone, rather than borrow the money, you say, look, I'm going to give you 20% of my business if you give me this. So whatever money we make, I will split it with you in accordance with the equity that we have. Some people use a hybrid, a combination of all 3. You can, but these are things you have to investigate. And how do you source your capital, the type of capital you source, would also depend how easy or difficult your business is moving forward.
Okay, I mean, so you've given us 3 options. First is self-sourced, so maybe
which is the best.
You don't save money, anybody. You struck gold or whatever, and then but equity though, how do you go about engaging the right person to split the capital or the startup capital with?
As I said, there are people that are looking for a good investment. If you believe very strongly in your business plan, you might get shut down a bit, but it doesn't matter. You just keep on persistent. Again, that's why it's important to have a plan, because if I come up to you and I said, oh, give me 100,000 now, let's start a business, and you go, what's in it for me? Everybody's asking, what's in it for me? And they're not wrong to ask that, because why am I going to put hard-earned money down to someone? And another part of it is believing in the individual themselves. You have to believe in me. Now, if I have a very clear-cut business plan, And I explain to you how I'm going to make this money. I'm explaining to you also how I'm going to invest this 100,000 you're giving me. I'm explaining to you how your investment is going to come out and when you're likely to make your returns. And you see it, and obviously with every business, there's always an element of risk. And you look at it and you go, it might be something I may be interested in investing in, and you give me your money in good faith. There you go. Equity is sourced.
But there's people watching now, and they're saying that, look, I've tried all of this. I have a little bit of money saved, but it's not enough for what I want to do. I've tried to get someone to partner with me. I've not been able to find. And the banks, no one is listening. The banks are not listening to me. The interest rates are too high anyway. What do I do next? So I have this great idea. A little bit of money saved is not enough. And I can't find someone who will support this idea. Do I change the idea? Do I iterate it? What do I do?
Not necessarily. One thing I tend to discover with a lot of businesses is you start anyway. Because sometimes some people might not be attracted to something that is not in motion. And what some people want to do is collect all the money up front before they actually start. With whatever little money you have, start the process. Let it be a work in progress. Then maybe that might attract other people and go, okay, you know, this guy has put his own money in. He really believes in this. Because sometimes, unless you take some risk yourself, other people would sit back and go, oh, he's not ready for business. So start anyway and see where it takes you. Because life is such a fantastic place where, you know, as you go along with things, momentum, someone would definitely come along. An opportunity would definitely present itself. I'm sorry to say this for any banks or anything out there, even microfinance. I mean, these things can be very, very tedious. There are even a lot of loan companies out there at the moment that give you money, a short-term loan.
The interest rates are crazy.
But the interest rates are crazy. I mean, it's really, really difficult. And especially when you're planning your business, you also have to plan the expenses involved for governance, taxation and things like that. So really, it's not easy for SMEs out there. But with a good plan, I mean, you can foresee and actually put these things into your organization.
So one of the things I also wanted to talk about was, it looks like increasingly, I mean, you talked about people who are giving out loans, all this little, like, we call them loan sharks. But there are also new organizations coming up that want to support entrepreneurs. And they're offering grants and things like that.
Even the government is doing it.
So the government is doing it. But that can also be very challenging if you don't know what to do in writing your grants and preparing your plan. So how do you go about that?
Well, I always say everybody needs a mentor. And I personally, I have a mentor. And I don't believe if you're going to go into business, you shouldn't seek advice from people that already have gone ahead of you. There are always people that you can actually learn from. So I think it's very important for us to be able to have people that we're accountable to, that we go and meet, and even people that can help us to write our business plans, people that can give us the guidance that we require. It's very, very important to have that network and support. So I think anybody that's looking to start a business must start from that position. Then the plan comes in and so on and so forth.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, it's always, there's never enough time to talk about everything we want to talk about. But if you want to hook up with Shariq Badamasi, make sure you go to JPIN Consult on social media, all social media, and, you know, ask him your questions. And, you know, of course, he'll be able to support you. He's a financial expert, so he'll probably bill you some. But I'm sure it wouldn't be so high. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.